Get up, tidy yourself. Accompany me to meet our guests. Bai Haonan, covered in footprints, bore no marks on his face. In truth, he sustained no serious injuries. The bodyguards were skilled enough to inflict pain without causing significant harm. After all, this was the young master, and even the chairman would refrain from breaking bones if tendons were involved. Nearby, fresh garments had long been prepared. Bai Haonan, lying on the ground, refused to rise. Why should I dine with that wretched vehicle? You can't possibly be considering a marriage alliance. Let me tell you, don't even think about it. I, Bai Haonan, would rather die than wed that dubious individual. Bai Lanqing's anger intensified. After a few cries of distress, Bai Haonan hastily darted into the bathroom, reluctantly bathing and changing, only to be ushered into the car by his father's bodyguards. While Bai Lanqing was inept at educating his son, he excelled at threats, effortlessly exploiting his vulnerabilities. Bai Haonan, let me make myself perfectly clear. If you dare to pull any tricks, all your sports cars, luxury goods, and credit cards will be frozen and liquidated. From this moment on, you will receive not a single penny. Bai Haonan shrank towards the car door, well aware that Bai Lanqing had employed such tactics more than once. He had experienced life without money and cars. In the past, he had borrowed money from friends for indulgences, initially without a care, mocking Bai Lanqing's foolishness. Yet, as time passed, the dynamics shifted. Repeated requests for loans strained friendships significantly. Moreover, he felt a profound sense of inadequacy. Relying on others made him feel diminished. Observing others' expressions dictated his actions, and with Bai Haonan's temperament, such humiliation was intolerable. Thus, after enduring for over a year, he ultimately capitulated to Bai Lanqing's demands. When he finally held a substantial amount of cash to spend freely, no longer living in embarrassment, that exhilarating feeling became unforgettable. Therefore, Bai Lanqing's threat was once again effective against Bai Haonan, who found himself devoid of any capacity for resistance. The car arrived at the Hai Tian Bin Yu Grand Hotel, where Bai Lanqing had already arranged for the most opulent private room. After leading the group upstairs, Yin, as expected, had yet to arrive. Bai Lanqing settled into the guest seat, calmly awaiting her arrival, while Bai Haonan ventured onto the balcony, lighting a cigarette and gazing out at the sea. For someone like him, lacking any remarkable abilities, the greatest contribution he could offer his family was to marry a woman of value. It is uncertain whether it is a stroke of luck or a lamentable fate. Bai Haonan possesses everything, yet he is devoid of the freedom of marriage. Consequently, he indulges excessively in other aspects of life, seeking the liberty that eludes him. After waiting for half an hour, Yin entered the room accompanied by a throng of assistants. "Uncle Bai, I truly feel quite embarrassed to have you treat your junior to a meal," she remarked with a laugh. However, her tone belied any semblance of embarrassment. Bai Lanqing sighed softly, rising with a smile. "Yin, my dear niece, it has been quite some time. You have become increasingly radiant and enchanting." "You flatter me, Uncle Bai," she replied. Once the bodyguards and assistants had taken their leave after the trio was seated, Bai Lanqing exchanged a few pleasantries before furrowing his brow and calling out to the balcony. "Haonan, are you not coming to greet your sister Yin?" Bai Haonan discarded his cigarette, exhaled a breath, and approached with a smile. "Sister Yin, I apologize for not hearing your arrival." Yin smiled back. "No worries, please take a seat, brother." Her gaze roamed over Bai Haonan, and she sensed the underlying reason for the gathering with Bai Lanqing and his son. Though their thoughts diverged, they maintained an outwardly harmonious rapport, engaging in casual conversation about familial matters while ordering dishes. As the wine flowed and the dishes were savored, Bai Lanqing broached the topic at hand. "Yin, I invited you here today because I have a request." Yin set down her wine glass. "Uncle, you are too courteous. What request could you possibly have? If there is any difficulty, please feel free to share. I will certainly not decline if I can assist." With a sigh, Bai Lanqing replied, "Alas, this issue stems from my immature son. His rivalry has sparked this trouble." He then briefly recounted the incident concerning Chun Xiao's sale of shares in the Lanqing Group. Yin's mouth fell slightly agape in surprise. She had not anticipated that Chun Xiao's claims at the auction were indeed true. Her thoughts mirrored the gentle ripples of spring water stirred by the news. Yet, through her previous encounters, she understood that someone like Chun Xiao was beyond her reach. Not only Chun Xiao, but even the second-generation heirs of respectable families in Jining would not associate with her, as she was notoriously known in the upper echelons of Jining for her numerous romantic entanglements. If it were Yin Bingqin, the situation would be different. The entire city knew she had never been in a relationship, although she might face repercussions after marriage. Many would still be willing to endure such circumstances for her substantial wealth and unparalleled beauty. Yin was pragmatic. She knew she had no chance with Chen Xiao. However, Bai Haonan was a suitor readily available. If she could forge a marital alliance with him, the connection to the Bai family would undoubtedly bolster her standing in the competition against Yin Bingxin. Oh, I see now, Uncle Bai. You wish to overcome Chen Zhao's obstruction and restore market confidence, correct? Bai Lancheng nodded. Indeed, if you could lend a portion of funds, that would be most advantageous. Ultimately, it all boils down to matters of finance. Yin, gracefully lifting her wine glass, appeared to be deep in thought. Bai Lancheng, observing the situation, hastily interjected, "Oh, of course, let's set business aside for the moment. You should have a good conversation with the young man, Haonan. I find myself rather fatigued at this hour. I shall take a brief respite, and we can reconvene in the afternoon." Yin placed her glass down with a smile and turned, saying, "Very well, Uncle Bai. Do take a rest." Once Bai Lancheng had departed, Yin leaned closer and remarked, "Brother Haonan, it seems this is our first time alone together, is it not?" Bai Haonan, though he had encountered Yin on multiple occasions, had never felt such palpable tension and awkwardness. "Yes, indeed," he stammered. A light, melodic laugh escaped Yin as she covered her mouth. "Do you know what one ought to do when spending time alone with a girl?" Chapter 127. Sister will reward you handsomely next semester. Bai Haonan cursed inwardly, yet dared not reveal a hint of his feelings on his face. If he mishandled this situation and offended Yin, not only would Bai Lancheng freeze his funds, but in the circles of Jining, no one would dare lend him a penny. However, the thought that she had a useless husband, and that he was destined to supplant him and become yet another in a long line of Yin suitors, made his stomach churn as though he had swallowed a fly. Was he truly destined to board this bus that had been ridden by countless others? Alas, feigning ignorance. He replied, "No, I have no idea." Yin smile grew even more enchanting. "That's all right. Let me teach you." With that, her bodyguard swiftly retreated, locking the door behind him. Upon witnessing this, Bai Haonan felt a chill run down his spine. While playful banter might be permissible, was Yin truly the sort of woman to toy with? In the afternoon, amidst a disheveled bed, Yin slept soundly, while Bai Haonan remained awake. Initially, he had vehemently resisted such circumstances, but Yin-Yan's profound understanding of the world had left him utterly astounded. After such an encounter, he began to perceive that marrying a woman of her caliber, despite the inevitable gossip, might not be as intolerable as he once believed. Around 3 o'clock, Yin awoke, indulging in the usual affectionate exchanges before preparing herself. When the three reconvened, the atmosphere had shifted dramatically. Bai Lancheng, observing the alluring countenance of Yin juxtaposed against the composed expression of Bai Haonan, felt a surge of delight. It seemed this useless fellow still retained some value. Yin, when do you think it would be best to proceed with your arrangements?" Bai Lancheng inquired. Yin glanced at Bai Haonan and replied, "Let us each handle our preliminary matters today, and then tomorrow we can go and obtain the marriage certificate." Bai Haonan was taken aback. Bai Lancheng continued, "Is tomorrow feasible?" "You are still." His words trailed off, not referring to the prenuptial agreements concerning assets and shares, but rather the fact that Yin was still married. Yin, comprehending his implication, said, "Oh, it's no issue. Tomorrow I shall take my husband to divorce him, and we can conveniently marry Haonan at the same time to avoid making 2 trips. Both men felt their mouths twitch in disbelief, as their understanding of Yin was once again profoundly challenged. The atmosphere was laden with awkwardness for several minutes, only to be broken by the relentless pull of self-interest. "Cough. Yin, from now on we are family. Let's put aside the previous matters for now. I will discuss this with my mother," Yin stated. Bai Lancheng was left speechless. Yin, you are aware of the urgency of the situation. Rest assured, I will provide you with a response by tonight. Only then did Bai Lancheng feel a sense of relief. Throughout the course of Bai Haonan's engagement, he had not been consulted even once. After finalizing the matter, Yin rose to take her leave, casting a flirtatious glance at Bai Haonan as she departed. Bai Lancheng felt somewhat reassured. This afternoon, the stock prices remained stagnant. The market's confidence was not as robust as it had been in the morning. With such a bold and resolute sell-off, investors began to speculate whether institutions had acquired information unknown to them. This hesitation triggered a ripple effect. Despite Chen Zhao's valiant efforts to combat the market single-handedly, he managed to sell only 700 to 800 million throughout the afternoon. By the end of the trading session, a total of 2.5 billion in stocks had been sold, leaving 6.3 billion still in hand. The rise in stock prices for Launching Group had yet to reach the threshold indicated by concealed information. so Chen Xiao remained unperturbed about its subsequent performance. After work, most employees from other departments had left, but those in the trading room were unable to depart. Currently, in a trading blackout period, no one could communicate with the outside world or leave the 7th floor until the liquidation was complete. The professionals in the room had long grown accustomed to this routine. Moreover, the company's logistical support was exceptional, providing an array of food and entertainment. Chen Xiao took a stroll around the trading room and observed that the staff were diligently strategizing their sell-off for the following day, prompting him to smile and say, "You all have worked hard these past few days." The team quickly waved their hands, insisting it wasn't arduous. Chen Xiao continued, "Su Teng, whatever the team needs, please ensure it is met to the best of our ability, be it food, drink, entertainment, or supplies. Let us not aim for the best, but rather for the most luxurious." "Yes, boss," came the reply. His words elicited laughter throughout the office. Though said in jest, the boss's sincerity touched the hearts of the employees. After some light conversation, Chen Xiao advised everyone to rest early and not to overexert themselves, emphasizing the importance of logistical support before he left the company with a sense of assurance. As a Mercedes-Benz 600 basked in the afternoon sun, it cruised along the tree-lined avenue, closely followed by a Land Rover Range Rover. Among those in the car with him were several women. Li Wenli sat comfortably in the luxurious Alpha Boss chair, with the driver from Tingxiao Capital speeding along the airport expressway. Reflecting on the changes over the past few months, Li Wenli felt as though she were in a surreal dream. With luxury cars at her disposal and someone to arrange her itinerary, even her flights were in first class. Uncertain of Chen Zhao's current busyness, she opted not to call, but instead sent a text message. "Dear, I have left. Please take care of yourself. I have neatly folded my clothes and placed them in 2 suitcases for Lu Xin to bring back to your dorm. You can just take these 2 suitcases home. They contain underwear, socks, as well as casual, business, and athletic attire. After wearing them, please sort them back into the suitcases, and I will organize them when I return for the new semester." In the serene confines of a Mercedes-Benz 600, Chen Zhao's phone chimed softly. He picked it up, glanced at the screen for a moment, and a smile graced his lips as he replied, "All right, see you next semester." Meanwhile, in a Volkswagen Phaeton en route to the airport expressway, Xia Yudi rested her elbow on the armrest, her delicate hand supporting her chin as she gazed vacantly out the window. Every few minutes, she checked her phone, and, just as they approached the airport, she finally sent a message. "Big bad guy, I'm leaving, I miss you." Upon reading it, Chen Xiao smiled gently and responded, "Play less games and don't stay up late. If I find your skin has worsened when you return next semester, I shall have to discipline you." Xia Yudi's cheeks flushed, and she pouted adorably, replying with a hint of annoyance, "I know." In another vehicle, Sun Ying stared blankly at the first-class ticket in her hand. She inquired of the driver ahead, "Can family and friends of the company also claim first-class tickets?" Lao Lu personally accompanied this individual, as she was still unaware of the true identity of the boss and feared that someone might inadvertently speak out of turn. "Yes, Miss Sun. The company has performed well this year, so both employees and their families are entitled to a round-trip first-class reimbursement." Sun Ying pondered this. Family. The little white-eyed wolf is quite considerate. After a moment's thought, she sent a message to Chen Xiao. "Thanks. Sister will reward you handsomely next semester." In a different Alfred heading to the airport, Yu Mengqi looked astonished at the first-class ticket in her hand. "Thank you, my dear moi." Lastly, there was Su Tang's vehicle, a Benz 300, which she had the driver use to take Zhang Ting. Zhang Ting, holding her phone, was also busy drafting a message, albeit hers resembled an essay in length. Chen Xiao remained oblivious to how the women were traveling to the airport, leaving all the arrangements to Su Tang. After replying to their messages, the car arrived at the school. Strictly speaking, today marked the first day of vacation, yet many had already departed. The campus was bustling with students dragging their luggage, each laden with bags of snacks and instant noodles. Those fortunate enough to afford a sleeper berth were undoubtedly blessed, while the rare few flying would attract a wave of envy. As for Chen Zhao's companions, they were the epitome of luxury among the returning throngs. The multitude of comments beneath the photos Zhang Ting posted online, showcasing luxury vehicles and the airport, only underscored this fact. The Mercedes 600 and Range Rover evoked considerable attention on campus. Chen Xiao found a quiet corner to alight, where Lao Lu awaited him. Lei Ting, accompanied by 2 bodyguards, ascended alongside him. Students who spotted a casually dressed young man with his hands in his pockets walking ahead, trailed by 3 burly figures in suits and sunglasses, were momentarily taken aback and instinctively stepped aside. Perhaps even Chun Xiao and his companions were unaware of the formidable aura they exuded, which conveyed a strong sense of presence and authority. Tan Cheng, carrying her backpack, stood at the foot of Building 6, while Lu Xing urged her from his motorcycle. Let me give you a ride. Tan Cheng's family is local to Jining. Hence, she only carried a backpack. No need, I'll just catch a cab at the entrance. It's quite a trek, especially with such a large bag, she said, hesitating. I'm not very comfortable riding a motorcycle. Lu Xing was taken aback. In college, it was the trend to impress girls by riding motorcycles. That was precisely why he had splurged 8,000 yuan on an imported scooter. Yet, the goddess was hesitant to ride. Then I'll walk you, Lu Xing offered. Just then, Chun Xiao strolled by. Unlike their previous encounter, this time his gaze merely skimmed over the two of them. Even if Lu Xing caught a flicker of disdain in Chun Xiao's eyes, he dared not speak up, especially with three imposing figures behind him. Tan Xing observed him with a curious expression. Was he also a friend she had met outside of school? As she pondered, Chun Xiao had already led his entourage into the dormitory building. Lu Xing swallowed hard, muttering, "What is so great about him? I'll wait for the day he cries." Yet, as he spoke, he felt increasingly insecure about his own words. Inside the dorm, Xiao Ji had left the night before. Lu Xing was busy packing his belongings. "Wow, you're back," he exclaimed, but upon seeing the three burly men following Chun Xiao, he quickly altered his tone. "Wow, you're back, Brother Xiao." I brought a few friends to collect their luggage," Chun Xiao replied. Lei Ting and the others attempted to greet Lu Xing with warm smiles before picking up their suitcases. "You guys wait downstairs for me. I'll be right there," Chun Xiao instructed. The trio nodded in silence, embodying the stoicism expected of bodyguards. Sometimes, it was safer not to speak at all. Once they left, Lu Xing, with a furtive glance, inquired, "What kind of friends do you have? Are they from the gym?" "Ah, yes, I found a part-time job at the gym for the summer," Chun Xiao casually mentioned. "Oh, I see. I wondered why you weren't rushing to buy tickets. Turns out you had no intention of going back at all? And you? When are you leaving?" "I'm taking the train tonight. Hard seat or sleeper?" "Not a sleeper. I couldn't get one." Chun Xiao handed him a cigarette, and they lit up. "You're not short on cash for a sleeper, are you?" Lu Xing teased. "Please, do you think I'd be out of money for a sleeper? I live nearby. There's no need for it," Lu Xing retorted. Chun Xiao smirked, thinking that Lu Xing was merely putting on a tough front. "I've got a bit. Want to borrow 2,000? Lu Xing shook his head. "No way, man. If I'm short on cash, I'll just spend less. Borrowing money is not my style. I'm not Xiao Ji." "Wow, Xiao Ji has become a metaphor now?" Chun Xiao chuckled. "Shh, don't mention it to him," Lu Xing cautioned. "All right, here's to you. Don't be too much like Xiao Ji. See you next semester." Chun Xiao tidied the table, covered his bed with a sheet, and then exited the dormitory. As for his computer, he decided against storing it. He had no time for that. If it got lost, so be it. Besides a few study materials, there was nothing of significant value. Shen Jiancheng, hailing from the same province as Chun Xiao, had already boarded the train the night before, having purchased tickets with the Xian and a few older classmates. Wu Ling had also arranged to return to her hometown in the grasslands with a senior. After descending the stairs, Chun Xiao gazed upon the campus, soon to be enveloped in silence, and was filled with profound emotions. In his previous life, he had been but a mere participant in the relentless tide of existence. Now, the thought of rejoining that current felt more akin to that of an observer. After a moment of reflection, he turned and walked towards the rear of the dormitory building. Old Lu opened the car door, and Chun Xiao bent down to enter. The two luxury cars, valued collectively at over 3 million, glided slowly through the campus amid the throngs of students, only accelerating once they reached the road outside. At the entrance of the school, Tan Cheng, waiting for a taxi, noticed the two luxurious vehicles emerging from the campus and couldn't help but cast a curious glance. Coincidentally, Chun Xiao also spotted her at that very moment. As the car picked up speed, it swiftly passed by her, and Chun Xiao clearly discerned Tan Cheng's gaze and expression. However, through the tinted privacy glass, Tan Cheng could only make out a vague silhouette. That figure seems familiar. Having just tasted the sweetness of life, Chun Xiao was akin to a newlywed husband eager to return home. At the luxurious Binjiang No. 1 residence, Shi Yunru awaited him at the door like a devoted wife. The moment they met, Chun Xiao enveloped her in a warm embrace, followed by a tender kiss that lingered, indulging in the intimacy of the moment. After a considerable while, Shi Yunru softly inquired, "Are you tired?" Her cheeks flushed as she took the items from Chun Xiao's hands. "Not all. What delicious fare have you prepared? It smells amazing." With a smile, Shi Yunru replied, "Sister Shuwen made it, and I assisted by simmering salmon head soup." Chun Xiao raised an eyebrow. "Oh, That's quite nourishing. Shi Yunru's face reddened further, and she playfully chided him. Moderation is key. It's more beneficial than mere nourishment. It's fine, after dinner. Accompany me for some exercise. It'll be good for your health, Chen Xiao retorted. First, rest a while. The meal will be ready shortly, Shi Yunru responded. All right, he agreed. Afterward, Shi Yunru planted a gentle kiss on his cheek before retreating into the kitchen. Chen Xiao smiled, retrieving his phone and settling onto a lounge chair on the balcony. The evening sun was equally resplendent. As he smoked, he casually browsed through his phone. Suddenly, his hand trembled. A piece of news caused his pupils to constrict sharply, and he sprang to his feet in excitement. Chapter 129, A Chance Encounter. With a resounding slap to his forehead, he exclaimed, "Oh no, I almost forgot about this." The content of the news read, once, a programmer from the Eagle Nation successfully purchased a pizza for 10,000 virtual bitcoins. Now, the value of Bitcoin has surged dramatically. Do virtual currencies hold any practical value? Experts urge that they are merely akin to game tokens and unworthy of attention. Chen Xiao, of course, would not heed the nonsensical claims of so-called experts. He cared not for the practical value of Bitcoin. He only knew that its price would inevitably soar to over 400,000 per coin. Presently, it was merely worth a couple of dollars. The potential for profit was astronomical. There was nothing more insane in this world. Chen Xiao, filled with fervor, began to enthusiastically wave his fists. However, he understood that there was no need for haste. By the time Bitcoin prices skyrocketed, he would possess the wealth and strength to face any challenge without fear. Nevertheless, one inevitably finds oneself thrust into the eye of the storm, attracting unforeseen and unnecessary troubles. Therefore, it is prudent to proceed discreetly, with as few individuals aware of the matter as possible. Hello, Su Tang, you need to come to Binjiang number 1 immediately. Understood, boss. Upon hanging up the phone, Chen Xiao excitedly lit a cigarette and began to pace back and forth on the balcony. If he could acquire 10,000 bitcoins, their potential future value would soar to 4 billion. 100,000 would amount to 400 billion. A million would yield an astonishing 4 trillion. The total supply of Bitcoin is fixed at 21 million, and to date, 10 million have already been mined. Chen Xiao was not greedy. If he could hold 5 million Bitcoins, he would secure a retirement fund of 2 trillion for himself. Of course, this was merely an aspiration, and the actual amount he could obtain remained uncertain. Before long, Su Tang arrived, greeted by Shi Yunru, who opened the door for her, as the two were already acquainted. All affairs concerning Binjiang number 1 were managed by Su Tang, and she was well versed in the details of each of her boss's women. Hello, General Manager Su. Chen Xiao is on the balcony. Thank you. Su Tang changed into slippers and headed straight for the balcony. Upon her arrival, Chen Xiao's face had lost all traces of excitement, his demeanor calm and composed as ever. Please take a seat. Chen Xiao gestured toward the chair opposite him. Of course. Boss, what do you need from me? Chen Xiao pondered for a moment and replied, the matter I am about to discuss must remain between us. Su Tang's previously relaxed expression tightened immediately. Understood. She made no promises, nor did Chen Xiao seek any, for such commitments were ultimately inconsequential. Chen Xiao possessed the audacity to act, backed by his confidence and contingency plans. Su Tang, on the other hand, was resolute in her loyalty. Are you familiar with Bitcoin? Su Tang thought for a moment, then shook her head in confusion. I have only recently heard of it. It is quite an intriguing concept, Chen Xiao explained. Do you wish to acquire some, boss? Indeed, I do. Su Tang pressed her lips together. Then I shall procure it. Chen Xiao smiled. What do you intend to purchase it? First, let me explain. Acquiring this asset requires careful consideration. It should not be done casually. Though Su Tang was not well versed in this matter, her trust in Chen Xiao remained unshaken. Please proceed. I am listening, she said, reaching for a pen and paper. Chen Xiao shook his head. Do not write it down. Instead, remember it here. He pointed to his head. Su Tang's expression grew more serious. For Chen Xiao had never shown such gravity before. Even when investing tens of billions into Blue Chung Group stocks, he had remained unfazed. Understood. Chen Xiao nodded. This matter of purchasing Bitcoin must remain solely between us. No third party must ever learn of it. We will discreetly invest money and offer substantial rewards to professionals who will acquire Bitcoin and securely store it on a hard drive, which will be handed over to you. Throughout the process, there must be no direct contact between the parties involved. Do not fear deception. A minor financial loss is inconsequential. Secrecy is paramount. Before this, you should seek out a professional in this domain to learn how to identify Bitcoin keys, aggregate Bitcoin, and how to securely copy keys onto multiple hard drives. Among other comprehensive skills, Su Tang meticulously noted everything Chen Xiao mentioned. Though she was unfamiliar with what Bitcoin entailed, the gravity with which her boss spoke suggested it must be something of utmost importance. All right, boss. I shall attend to it immediately, Chen Xiao remarked. There's no rush. Take your time and invest a little more. First, consult an expert in blockchain or virtual currencies to gain a thorough understanding, he advised. Understood. After concluding their serious discussion, Su Tang politely declined Shi Yunru's invitation to stay for dinner and hurriedly departed. Chen Xiao gazed at the distant sun, poised to sink below the horizon, and exhaled deeply. Relying solely on oneself, one could indeed earn such money. Yet, who would ever disdain having excess wealth? Furthermore, there are ways to live well with ample riches. If the opportunity arose, Chen Xiao longed to experience the sensation of wielding power over the world. After bidding farewell to Su Tang, Shi Yunru made her way to the balcony. Darling, it's time to eat. Chen Xiao cheerfully stood up and lifted Shi Yunru, spinning her around several times. Put me down, I'm getting dizzy. How annoying. Haha. In stark contrast to the harmonious atmosphere of Chen Zhao's home, two stunning girls at the entrance of Jining International Airport were locked in a tense standoff. It was here that Xia Yudi and Li Wenli fortuitously crossed paths. Despite Su Tang's efforts to stagger their schedules, once at the airport, everyone's movements became unpredictable. After browsing a shop outside for a while, Xia Yudi decided to enter the terminal, only to collide with Li Wenli, who had just alighted from her vehicle. The glances exchanged between the two women were charged with tension. Xia Yudi spoke first. TSK, you arrive in a van? Li Wenli rolled her eyes. That is called a business vehicle. What does it matter how I arrived? Xia Yudi boasted, of course it matters. I came in Chen Zhao's Volkswagen. Xia Yudi, do you really think Chen Xiao has the time to handle such trifles? It's all arranged by Sister Su. What is there to brag about? Li Wenli retorted. Xia Yudi paused, suddenly realizing Su Tang's standing, and pondered whether her recent thank you message to Su Tang had been too casual. Observing her expression, Li Wenli exhaled softly and then smiled amicably. Yudi, I don't wish to continue this dispute. It would only complicate things for Chen Xiao, and I believe you wouldn't want that either, right? Xia Yudi lifted her head. Of course, you were the one arguing with me. I already mentioned. As long as I gain Chen Zhao's. Ahem, you know, Li Wenli replied. Then let us go. I'll treat you to coffee, and we can chat leisurely. Xia Yudi's large eyes twinkled. All right, for the sake of coffee. Subsequently, the two entered a nearby CF, engaging in light-hearted conversation, transitioning from their earlier standoff to laughter with seemingly swift ease. However, the underlying reasons for this shift were exceedingly complex. Among them was the profound affection shared by the two individuals for Chen Xiao. The conversations between girls can often be peculiar, sometimes bizarre. Cough, Wenli. Do you only have 30 minutes to? Li Wenli blushed, saying, let us not discuss this anymore. It's too embarrassing. Oh, why be shy? I am quite curious. Xia Yudai, with her candid nature, would not hesitate once her curiosity was piqued. Li Wenli realized that when it came to chatting, she was truly no match for Xia Yudai. Xia could converse about anything without any reservations. However, amidst their lively discussion, they failed to notice a beautiful girl quietly donning sunglasses and discreetly wheeling her suitcase out of the safe, simultaneously letting out a sigh of relief. Could it be that I just encountered Chen Zhao's official girlfriend? How terrifying. Yet, which one of them was his actual girlfriend? Zhang Ting remarked, patting her ample bosom. As the door swung open, Zhang Ting unexpectedly collided with a girl. Oh, Sister Sunning, you're here too. Sunning removed her sunglasses, appearing somewhat dazed. Ah yes. What a coincidence. I'm just here to grab a coffee. Oh great. Let us have a meal together next semester if we have the time. Sure. Zhang Ting and Sunning greeted each other as they passed by. They were in the same grade and knew each other from school. Zhang Ting did not anticipate encountering her here at the airport. Today was indeed remarkably coincidental. Just as she was about to enter the terminal, a beautiful girl called out to her. Excuse me, can I bother you for a moment? Turning around, Zhang Ting saw the girl looking somewhat perplexed while holding her ticket. What is the matter? Could you please tell me where the terminal entrance is? Yu Mengqi inquired. Oh, this way. I'm heading in as well. Let us go together. Okay, thank you. While it was said to be a coincidence, the meeting between Yu Mengqi and Zhang Ting was indeed serendipitous. The encounters of the others could only be deemed as fate, as Su Tang had not anticipated that there would be a CF at the airport. Nor did she foresee that girls, when given the opportunity, would invariably wish to enjoy a cup. Given their arrival times were quite close, their meeting became a highly probable event. However, Only Li Wen Li and Xiaoyu Dai were familiar with each other. Zhang Ting had overheard bits and pieces. The others, encountering one another, was of little consequence. Meanwhile, Chun Xiao, who was deeply engrossed with Shi Yunru, could never have imagined that his several companions would inadvertently cross paths at the airport. After a moment of refreshment, Chun Xiao produced a card and said to Shi Yunru, Yunru, take this card as you're spending money. Huh? Su Tang previously gave me 50,000. 50,000 is too little. This card contains 500,000. Keep it for your own expenses or for your family. Shi Yunru, for the first time, realized that someone considered 500,000 a mere allowance. Cough. Your relatives will be leaving the day after tomorrow, right? Feeling a bit bashful, Shi Yunru replied softly. Yes. Chun Xiao nodded, feeling a sense of anticipation. Indeed, they were counting down the days. No matter how skilled one may be, it could not compensate for the gap between reality and fantasy. In the evening at the Zijin Manor, Lu Mei, the current wife of the wealthy Yanji Yuan, was busy organizing the tasks for the butler and servants. As the second wife of the affluent Jin Ning, she undoubtedly possesses her own distinctive qualities. Although she is only born a daughter for Yan Ziyuan, and her parenting skills leave much to be desired, she manages the household with remarkable efficiency. Through years of exercise and self-care, she appears to radiate the vitality of someone in their early 30s despite being in her 40s. Her husband, He Dashing, diligently fawns over her, yet in Lu Mei's eyes, he seems to exist in a realm of irrelevance. Even the servants regard him with thinly veiled disdain. Second miss, greetings. The servants suddenly bowed in acknowledgement as they sensed Yin Yin's return. He Dashing immediately recognized her arrival. Yin, why are you back so late today? Are you tired? Let me give you a massage. Yin brusquely pushed He Dashing aside. Mother, I want to marry Bai Haonan. He Dashing, taken aback, was surprised by Lu Mei's calm demeanor. After a moment's contemplation, she inquired, is he the only son of the Bai family? Yes, that's him, Yin confirmed. Lu Mei raised an eyebrow. Yin, this time you seem to have chosen a man of substance. How did you manage to ensnare him? Yin explained. The Bai family has encountered difficulties and seeks our assistance. She recounted the entire situation. After considering the matter, Lu Mei replied, This seems to be a mutually beneficial arrangement. I agree. Wonderful, Yin responded with delight. Throughout their conversation, both mother and daughter treated He Dasheng as if he were invisible. Meanwhile, He Dasheng, feigning ignorance, maintained a smile on his face. As Yin sighed and beckoned you, come with me, his smile vanished in an instant. On that day, he had prepared himself psychologically since marrying Yin. Though he had not anticipated such swift developments, barely over a year had passed since his previous marriage ended in a similar fashion. Yin had a penchant for marrying those she fancied, only to divorce once the novelty wore off. After all, their prenuptial assets were legally protected, ensuring that no one could claim a single penny of her wealth. The objective was to amass as much money as possible during the marriage, with a little bonus awaiting at the time of divorce. He Dashing eagerly anticipated the amount of his impending tip. Upon entering the bedroom, he found himself ensnared by Yin. He had intended to address matters candidly, but unexpectedly, she exhibited a sudden wickedness. After more than a year, he had grown weary of her and wished to resist. However, the allure of that forthcoming tip quelled his rebellious thoughts. After engaging in a display of their intimate skills, Yin, still unsatisfied, remarked, Dasheng, we may part ways in business, but let us not sever our connection. I truly regret losing your talents. You surpass your successor by far. Alas, I must retrain him. He Dasheng's lips twitched at her words. Over the past year, he had endured countless disdainful glances and endured the burden of humiliation. He swallowed his grievances, all for the sake of accumulating a small fortune. Aware that his time with Yin was limited, he endeavored to gather resources to ensure that after their divorce, he would not have to return to a life of servitude. Well, if you are pleased, then that is what matters, he replied, gazing at Yin with eager anticipation. Yin understood immediately. Oh, right, I almost forgot. As per our usual arrangement, here is the card for you. It has no password. He Dasheng silently accepted it. Tomorrow, then? Yes, at 8 in the morning, let us meet at the entrance of the service hall. All right. With that, He Dasheng dressed himself, tidied up, and turned to leave. Only upon exiting the Zijin Mountain Villa did he awaken from his reverie, realizing he was merely a transient here, and it was laughable that he once harbored a glimmer of hope to stay. He found a chance to check his bank balance, a 1 followed by 6 zeros. including the nearly 2 million he had amassed over a year from Yin Yin Yin. He smirked, thinking, what was I even doing as a waiter? I should return home and marry an honest person. Chapter 131. A good daughter-in-law. The next day, the three of them arrived as promised. Upon seeing Hidishin, Bai Haonan felt a wave of nausea and naturally wore a sour expression. Conversely, Hidishin was quite open about it, while Yin 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 was the happiest. She playfully tugged at Bai Haonan, saying, darling, wait for me outside for a moment. I'll go in first to finalize my divorce with my husband, and then we can marry. Bai Haonan had never encountered such an absurd scenario in his life. Regret crept in. If he hadn't offended Chen Xiao, would he have to endure such tribulations today? Chen Xiao, you've ruined my life. Impatiently, Bai Haonan waved his hand and sat in his car, having deliberately driven an ordinary Volkswagen today to avoid embarrassment if he encountered someone familiar. Although he knew that preserving his dignity was ultimately futile, Yin 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 was a frequent visitor here, well-versed in the procedures, and she handled everything with efficiency. In just a few minutes, she emerged with Hidishin, standing on the steps and waving. Haonan, come on, no need to queue. Bai Haonan cursed from inside the car before reluctantly stepping out. As Hidishin passed by, he paused and said, wishing you a lifetime of happiness, newlyweds. Bai Haonan, already brimming with anger, approached and kicked Hidishin to the ground. What the hell? Who needs your blessings? I'll make you pay, you coward. A flurry of punches and kicks followed. Yin 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 was taken aback and rushed over to intervene. Hey, stop it. Bodyguards, separate them. In the end, Bai Haonan was restrained by Yin Yin's bodyguards, lifted off the ground, and managed to kick Hidishin once more before muttering curses as he walked into the service hall. Hidishin wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth, watching Yin Yin's gentle concern for Bai Haonan, and spat out a mouthful of blood. Just wait, you'll regret this day. Meanwhile, Chen Xiao, awakening in a warm embrace, was completely unaware that this morning the city had gained a divorced couple and a newlywed couple. He admired the stunning beauty of Shi Yunru beside him, her alluring figure bringing him a sense of comfort. Everyone loves beauty, but possessing such a woman does not guarantee happiness. If one cannot manage it, it may lead to suffering. To enjoy the exquisite aspects of a remarkable woman, one must either possess exceptional qualities or the capacity to provide. However, based on Hidishin's experience, exceptional abilities in certain areas may not be entirely reliable. It seems that only the power of wealth can silence the charming lady, sealing away her incessant chatter and complaints, while unlocking only her understanding side. After a moment of admiration, Chen Xiao rose from his bed and took a shower. Upon his return, Shi Yunru had already heated the milk and prepared breakfast. I do not know if you can adapt to it. Let me know your preferred breakfast flavors, and I shall prepare them next time, she said. Chen Xiao chuckled. My robust appetite can handle anything. After saying this, he picked up the sandwich and milk she had made for him, devouring them heartily. After finishing a glass of milk and a sandwich, Chen Xiao wiped his mouth and stood up. I must be off. Today is a crucial day. Shi Yunru promptly took his phone and other belongings, advising him to be cautious on the road and that she would await his return in the evening. All right, he replied. At the door, they shared a tender moment before Chen Xiao reluctantly departed. He now fully comprehended why some monarchs choose to forego morning court. The allure of such moments is undeniably profound. Nevertheless, he remained clear-headed, understanding that everything he enjoyed was built upon his financial empire. Thus, maintaining the stability of that empire was the cornerstone of all endeavors. The pursuit of wealth must never cease. Chen Xiao sat in his vehicle, navigating through the bustling city like countless office workers on their way to the company. Meanwhile, Yin Yin, having just received her marriage certificate with Bai Haonan, sat joyfully in the office of the chairman of the Blue Chung Group. Father, rest assured, once the land mortgage contract is signed, the funds will be promptly secured. Bai Lanqing's lips twitched. Indeed, the Yin mother and daughter were not easily dealt with. Before the marriage, not only did they demand a clear disclosure of premarital assets, but to secure their financial support, they also insisted on mortgaging land from the development zone. Faced with this predicament, he had no alternative but to compromise. Very well, let us sign the contract. At 9 o'clock in the morning, Chen Xiao arrived at the company. After enjoying a cup of tea and a cigarette, he prepared for the upcoming bidding phase. At 9:15, a flurry of buy orders poured in for the Blue Chung Group, causing its stock price to surge. Market confidence was restored. Chen Xiao smiled. Let us begin, gentlemen. The Blue Chung Group is quite resilient. It has risen again. Let's bring it down a notch. Understood. In the trading room, the traders erupted in laughter before immediately immersing themselves in their urgent work. As the market opened, they sensed something amiss. No matter how many sell orders they placed, buyers were unhesitatingly accepting them all. Wow, is market confidence this strong? Let's try something big, Chen Xiao remarked. All right, boss. Subsequently, an 80,000 hand sell order was placed. As expected, it was executed within seconds. This action served as a clarion call. Upon witnessing such strong buying, countless retail investors rushed to follow suit. Incredible. Since there are buyers, we shall not hold back. Chen Xiao then commanded his subordinates to sell off large quantities at a price slightly lower than the marked hidden information. Thousands upon thousands of sell orders were released one after another, leaving retail investors utterly bewildered. As the primary buyers hesitated for just a moment, the retail investors instantly halted their actions. Although Bai Lancheng and Yin 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 were somewhat prepared, they were still taken aback by Chen Zhao's decisive maneuver. Observing the current situation, Yin Yin realized that 30 billion might not suffice for the subsequent capital. Regaining her composure, she said, "Dad, rest assured, I possess a share pledge agreement for your consideration." Bai Lancheng's irritation was palpable, his beard nearly bristling. A land pledge was insufficient. To his astonishment, she was actually referring to the shares of Lancheng Group. Yin, we are family. This is unnecessary. When he refused to sign, she remained unfazed and retrieved the agreement. Do not worry, we are family. Even if you do not sign, I cannot refrain from assisting. Xiaoli informed the fund company to fully acquire shares of Lancheng Group. Yes, Mississippi Bai Lancheng's chest heaved with agitation. Ironically, she no longer needed the share pledge and could directly proceed to acquire the stocks. Wait a moment. Yin, bring me that share pledge contract for my review. Yin smiled charmingly. Of course, Dad. She obediently handed it over. However, the contract terms were far from as gentle as her demeanor suggested. The interest rate was quite high, and the repayment schedule was exceedingly tight. Yet, the urgency of the situation left no room for negotiation. After much deliberation, Bai Lancheng clenched his teeth and ultimately signed the share pledge agreement. In the course of just half an hour, the shares of Lancheng Group had already declined by 3 points, with the market's pessimism growing stronger. Chen Xiao was perplexed, wondering if this was all that Lancheng Group had to offer. Wang Peng slowed down the selling pace to maintain a gradual decline in stock prices. Understood, boss. The rapid drop in stock prices could adversely affect Chen Zhao's own interests. Just then, his phone rang. Upon checking, he found it was Yin Bingqin. Hello, Sister Qin. What can I do for you? Yin Bingqin got straight to the point. I have some potentially useful news. Yin has married by Haonan. Chapter 132. Salary distribution. Chen Xiao was taken aback. When did this happen? This morning. Chen Xiao exclaimed. So sudden? They were at odds before. Wasn't Yin already married? Yin Bingqin replied. She divorced He this morning and married by Haonan. Wow. Chen Xiao could not help but curse. It seemed that the wealthy were indeed adept at such matters. Yin Bingqin was speechless. Stop being a mere observer. Can't you see the implications here? Chen Xiao pouted. What's the issue? Isn't it merely that Lancheng Group has secured financial backing to stabilize its stock prices? Yin Bingqin retorted. You are aware of that? Then why are you so composed? Chen Xiao chuckled. Why shouldn't I be calm? By Lancheng receiving financial support is a good thing. Isn't it? This way, I can profit even more. But this means you will be unable to suppress Lancheng Group's stock prices. Are you truly willing to watch by Haonan's company soar? A smile crept onto Chen Zhao's face, for he understood Yin Bingqin's motives perfectly. Yin's union with the Bai family represented an additional formidable ally, placing significant pressure on her. However, what did it matter to him? It did not affect his profits. Chen Xiao chuckled and said, Qin Jie, as for me, my priority is earning money, followed by seeking joy. Personal grievances do not weigh heavily on my mind. Therefore, if you wish to seize the opportunity to purchase shares in Blueqing Group, I have no objections. Yin Bingqin was taken aback, surprised that Chen Xiao, despite his youth, exhibited such composure, remaining unfazed by provocations. A silence enveloped their conversation. Chen Xiao mused, if you do not speak plainly, I shall pretend to be oblivious. Attempting to ensnare me? You are still rather naive. Yin Bingqin, pondering deeply, came to realize that Chen Xiao had already positioned himself in a winning stance in this confrontation, with the only distinction being the extent of profit. With a sigh inwardly, she found herself compelled to concede. Chen Xiao, could you do me a favor? Of course, as long as it pertains to money and not personal matters. I am open to any request. Yin Bingqin retorted. If it has nothing to do with money or personal matters, what favor could I possibly ask of you? The situation is this. You're aware of the discord between Yin 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 and me. Given Blue Chung Group's entanglement with Yin Yin Yin, it poses a significant threat to my equity claims in the future. Hence, Chun Xiao interjected. You wish for me to sell off a large quantity of Blue Chung Group shares to suppress the stock price? That is one option. Or perhaps you could transfer your shares in Blue Chung Group to me, thus making me a shareholder capable of interfering with Yin Yin's plans in other respects. Yin Bingqin proposed. Very well. I shall make it convenient for myself and sell them to you at today's peak price. Yin Bingqin agreed. I lack funds, but I can exchange shares from my own company with you. Chun Xiao was a loss for words, thinking, what use is this if you have no money? Is this not a waste of time? Oh, I see. Ah, Qin, yeah, I have stomach ache. I really must go, time is short. Goodbye. With that, he hung up, leaving Yin Bingqin listening to the busy tone, her head buzzing. On the other end, Chun Xiao rolled his eyes as he noticed the stock price of Blue Chung Group rising again and commanded, continue selling, expedite the liquidation. Understood, boss. Yin Bingqin subsequently attempted to reach him several more times, but Chun Xiao chose to ignore her, activating flight mode as he returned to his office. Indulging in smoke while being pampered by his sisters. Feeling Lin Yinran's gentle hands pressing on his shoulders, Chun Xiao gazed out at the vast Qian Lake. In truth, Yin Bingqin's intentions mirrored his own. Neither wished for Blue Chung Group to thrive. However, this was contingent upon safeguarding their own interests. Otherwise, even the king himself would be powerless. Moreover, selling shares was merely the initial step. The primary aim was profit. Disrupting Blue Chung Group would come later. Once the money was secured, toppling such a substantial listed company was not a matter that could be accomplished swiftly. Merely causing a bit of inconvenience to the opponent was already commendable. Thus, during this profit-making phase, he sought to avoid excessive interference. With the substantial financial backing from Yin Yin Yin, the stock of Blue Chung Group finally stabilized its decline and re-entered a tug-of-war phase. Bai Lancheng was aware only of the volume of shares Chun Xiao had financed, but remained oblivious to the specifics of his holdings. As the current trading volume had far exceeded his financing limit, the remainder was likely his own capital. The market sentiment has been thoroughly bewildered by recent events. Some speculate that despite Blue Chung Group's accumulation of numerous promising plots, a severe crisis in its financial chain has prompted insiders to recklessly liquidate their shares. Others contend that this is a malicious suppression, asserting that Blue Chung Group's financial stability is intact, as evidenced by its ability to maintain current stock prices. However, both pessimistic and optimistic sentiments are evenly divided, leaving Chun Xiao and Bai Lancheng unable to garner additional support from retail investors. Chun Xiao remains indifferent, continuing to profit, while Bai Lancheng endures considerable distress. By the close of trading in the afternoon, after days of effort, Chun Xiao successfully liquidated all shares of Blue Chung Group. His exit ultimately stabilized the stock, yet the repercussions on Blue Chung Group are inescapable. The company has not only borrowed substantial funds, but also pledged a significant amount of equity, exacerbating the risks. Most critically, although the stock price has not declined, the market's confidence has nearly evaporated due to the turmoil, rendering it impossible to reach the anticipated price levels. Consequently, subsequent project developments are fraught with challenges. Having weathered this crisis, Bai Lancheng, who was once filled with optimism, now feels age beyond his years. What was once a smooth sailing plan has been thoroughly disrupted. Casting a glance at Bai Haonan beside him, he feels an overwhelming urge to reprimand him again, were it not for Yan Yinyan's presence. In the office of Tong Xiao Capital, Chun Xiao is in high spirits. Although he did not sell at the peak, the outcome is nearly equivalent. After repaying the 123.9 billion financing for Jining Pharmaceutical and an additional 3.5 billion from this round of financing, his own capital has surged to 396.1 billion. This wealth is entirely his own, unlike the previous 2 billion, where nearly half was financed. His assets have multiplied significantly. Ha ha ha, everyone has worked hard. Chun Xiao exclaimed joyfully. Su Tang, today is July 1st, right? Please distribute last month's salaries. The crowd paused. Having never before encountered a company that disbursed the previous month's wages on the very first day of the new month, a wave of cheers erupted, with someone exclaiming, "Long live the boss!" Chun Xiao raised his hands to calm them. Steady, steady, my friends. In addition to salaries, there will also be bonuses. Our company performed well this month, and I have decided to allocate 10 million as bonuses based on each of your performance and contributions. In comparison, 10 million against 396. 1 billion is akin to taking $1 out of 396 to reward employees who have contributed to his profits. Although the proportion is modest, the employees are astounded. For a company with fewer than 100 people, and not even at year-end, to allocate 10 million as bonuses, their minds race with calculations of individual shares. At Tung Capital, a jubilant atmosphere pervades, and everyone is filled with hope for the future. However, the crisis at Blue Chin Group is far from over. Greater challenges await by Lan Cheng. Chapter 133. Is there? Su Tang accompanies Chun Xiao back to the office. Yinjin, Yinyu, you may step outside. I need to discuss a few matters with the boss. Understood, Su Zong. Chun Xiao chuckled. What troubles you, my dear steward? Su Tang, with her long and slender legs clad in black stockings, approached Chun Xiao, her exquisite visage slightly furrowed in concern. Boss, is it not excessive to distribute such a substantial bonus this time? Chun Xiao, taken aback, realized she was worried about the expenditure. Ha ha ha, silly girl. The more generous the bonuses, the more you stand to gain. Su Tang shook her head. Boss, I have only been here for a little over a month and have achieved so little. Receiving such a large bonus fills me with unease. Chun Xiao smiled and inquired. Tell me, what were your impressions of me when we first met? Su Tang was momentarily stunned, feeling as though she had been transported to another era. Gazing out at the shimmering Qian Lake and the towering office building beneath her feet, alongside the nearly 4 billion that had just materialized, she found it hard to believe. Was it truly just a little over a month since all this began? Perhaps it would be more acceptable to attribute it to a miracle. When we first met, Su Tang recalled the university student who appeared rather ordinary, even somewhat shabby, yet exuded confidence as he took the bus to open an account. Now, she observed the composed and self-assured man before her, who seemed to command everything. Although little had changed on the surface, everything felt profoundly different. Chun Xiao remarked, indeed, though your tenure here has been brief, the successes of Tung Capital and all that we have accomplished are products of our joint efforts. Su Tang's heart warmed at the thought of their shared endeavor. Yet, she felt her contributions were merely insignificant. To hold a position in a financial firm destined for greatness felt like a stroke of fortune, perhaps even fate's design. Such an opportunity was bestowed upon her by this very man. Boss, the typically composed and efficient Su Tang now found her emotions overflowing. Her delicate oval face flushed with excitement. Chun Xiao, taken aback, patted her shoulder and said, All right, do not dwell too much on it. Arrange the bonuses and salaries accordingly. I shall return home the day after tomorrow, and the company will be in your capable hands. Understood. Su Tang nodded earnestly. I will handle it immediately. She had no other means to repay Chun Xiao's recognition. She could only strive to fulfill her responsibilities and relieve him of any burdens and obstacles. The method of bonus distribution was clearly outlined by the company, and the finance department swiftly set it in motion alongside the salaries. When Wang Peng and Xiao Su beheld the six-figure deposits, they felt as though they were dreaming. In the trading room, all employees, both new and seasoned, were rewarded with a minimum of 5 figures. Based on their respective performances and contributions, they received satisfactory salaries and bonuses. Other departments experienced similar fortunes. Although they had merely performed their regular tasks, they too were rewarded with generous bonuses. Lei Ting and Lei Yong, upon noticing an additional 20,000 in their accounts, inquired with Su Tang, Ms. Su, we have already overdrawn our salaries. Has there been a mistake? Su Tang smiled. No, this is not your salary. It is a bonus, as specifically instructed by the boss. Keep up the good work. The two exchanged glances, their hearts brimming with gratitude. In the kitchen, the chefs clanged their ladles with renewed vigor, their enthusiasm for cooking soaring. Meanwhile, the cleaning lady, holding a toothbrush, pondered deeply over the double pay she would receive. It appears that the toothbrush is insufficient. Otherwise, regarding Su Tang, her salary and bonuses amount to 300,000 this month. After careful consideration, she decided to set aside 100,000 as a performance bonus for the following month. As long as she ranks among the top, she will qualify to partake in the distribution of this sum. Naturally, Chun Xiao was unaware of this. He had already settled into his luxurious vehicle, singing merrily as he drove along the picturesque Binhu Avenue, heading home. 39 billion is an incomprehensible figure. Beyond mere numbers, Chun Xiao lacked a clear understanding of its magnitude. He had only seen 1 billion in cash in a movie from his past life, and even that amount had caused the male protagonist significant distress